I'm Cindy Crawford, and you're watching We, Women's Entertainment.
There comes a time in every young girl's life when she realizes there's something beyond her front door or backyard, and that she can get there through her imagination or on her own 2 feet.
I used to run away a lot, but not far. I mean, far enough so that my mother was worried, but not so far that you couldn't easily find me in the neighborhood and haul me back home. There were these kind of wrought iron kind of things that looked over these alleys behind our yards. And I remember getting up to those and looking through the iron to the alleys and thinking somehow I'd arrived at someplace very important.
When I was a girl, the world beyond my backyard seemed a part of me. And as long as you had books, and we always had books, we had the Bible, we had people who imaginatively told stories, we had people who shared their lives. We were lucky, I was lucky, because my parents traveled. And so every year my grandparents lived in New York. One drove there and one saw things. And there was kind of never a time that I can remember in this little town that I was not aware that there was a big world.
My grandparents had a summer house on Lake Erie in Ontario, and we spent most of our summers up there. And even though it was just across the Peace Bridge, which is only like a half-hour drive, it was another world. And I think it really also encouraged my imagination, because we just invented our play areas. You know, we invented little worlds that we inhabited.
I would go up into the hills with my dogs, and the burro, who didn't move, I would just sort of pretend that the burro was galloping. And my dogs and I would have forts all over the hilltops, and and I had a slingshot, so we would sort of defend the house from marauders, like, you know, the Western Union man and the delivery guys.
I had a really vivid imagination that went way beyond this sort of little clapboard house on the corner in suburbia. So I tended to get into trouble a lot. You know, would steal things from neighbors' yards, or you know, I was the one who decided to give the cat a bath with, you know, some Clorox bleach. I was the one who, you know, stole my sister's Barbie dolls and took their heads off and buried them in the backyard. I was always the one that they go, she's going to be dark when she grows up.
Every day after school, I would come home and I would put on my mom's high heel shoes, because she wore high heel shoes, and my teachers did too, and I was obsessed with shoes. Then I would go home in my bedroom, and I had this big blackboard that covered one wall, and I would do all my homework on it. But the only way I could do it was if I pretended I had a classroom. So I had 32 students, and I would teach them, they all had names, I would teach them whatever I had to do for homework. You know, and I just gave them report cards. I was a very mean teacher.
Me and the girl next door, Lisa Fungi is her name, we had a big bag of fabric, just strips of fabric. I can still remember how it feels and the sounds that they would make coming out of the bag. I must have been from my grandmother's bridal shop. And we used to take these pieces of fabric out and dress ourselves up as characters and run around the neighborhood. And those were the days, you know, long before we were wearing watches. I never knew what time it was, never had shoes on.
We were living for today and beginning to dream about tomorrow. Who would we be?
When I was in the second grade, there was a guy that came to our school. He was a speaker on Career Day, and what he did, I don't remember, but I remember him saying that you can be anything that you want to be if you try, and there's nobody exactly like me. And we actually sang a song, which, you know, for second grade, you know, there's nobody exactly like me. I felt like, okay, I can be anything that I want to be, and there is nobody like me, and, you know, and I want to be this weather reporter. And that was like, you know, kind of around the same time where I thought that this is exactly what I want to do, and if I set my goals, I can do that.
I can remember very clearly being in second grade at St. Joseph's Catholic School in Racine, Wisconsin. And the and there's no fault of the schools, but the teacher came around and we were given a piece of paper and crayons and said, draw what you want to be when you grow up. And I remember thinking, man, I have 3 choices, a nun, a nurse, or a teacher. And the kid next to me, Robert Cole, drew a TV repairman. And I remember thinking, God, he has all these other choices. And I only have nun, nurse, or teacher. I think, I don't really want to be a nun. I don't know about a nurse. And I remember I drew a teacher.
As a baby, as like a 6 to 8 year old, I didn't know what I was gonna. I didn't think of adulthood. I loved being a kid so much that I didn't really. I didn't even like adults too much. They were like party poopers to me.
I think I wanted to be a cowgirl for quite some time.
People would always say, "You're gonna be on Laughing." You remember that show, Laughing? Oh, I am. And I always did stuff to try to get a laugh. I did theater and everything, but I never thought of myself as like, I want funny. I just liked funny things. And then I remember rolling around on the living room floor with my mom once thinking, what am I going to do? What am I going to do when I grow up?
When I was a little girl, I thought I would grow up to be either a baseball player or a scientist. I loved playing baseball out on the street with friends in the neighborhood. And when I was too young to know that women couldn't play for the Dodgers, I wanted to be a shortstop with the Los Angeles Dodgers. Then my father told me that was probably not the appropriate career choice for his young daughter. So I started thinking more seriously about science.
When I was a little girl, I guess I thought I would grow up to be great, whatever that was. I had a community of strong black women. And my father, whom I now know was a pretty good feminist, telling me I could be anything and that I was expected to be everything that I could be.
You can't. You can. If that was the reality of our small world, there was another waiting in the wings. The bigger reality of what is. We were each of us of a certain time and touched personally by that time.
I can remember the day that my dad left in the spring of 1968 to go to Vietnam and not really understanding what was at stake, but everyone was very upset. And I remember understanding that he was going to be gone for a long time. And I can remember thinking, Dad's somewhere, on the other side of the world. And it seemed exotic and exciting.
I went up to the Belk's department store with one of my Sunday school teachers, and it never occurred to me that I shouldn't go to the water fountain. I didn't know that there was white water and black water. I remember going to drink water as any child would. And my teacher, whom I've never quite forgiven, but I remember her snatching me away to say, you can't drink there, and I kept saying, why? And always questioning why one could buy in a drugstore but not sit and have a Coke in a drugstore. Why is it in a public park I couldn't swim and the white kids could?
I don't feel like I really knew what was going on in the world as a kid. Never really fathoming the thought that there was other states or, other countries and people out there. I don't think that I really knew that.
Buffalo was too small for me, and I knew that from, I think, my first moment of real consciousness. I think I was 6 when I saw my first Broadway musical, which was The Unsinkable Molly Brown. And I remember thinking, this is the world I absolutely belong in. This is the world I want to inhabit. This is so much. I used to imagine there were orchestras playing when I would walk down the beach as a little kid.
The world beyond my own backyard seemed like Oz. It seemed like that moment where Dorothy opens the door after the house falls from the tornado, and everything that was once in black and white suddenly becomes color. It was, there's going to be a yellow brick road, and I'm going to follow it, and then I'm going to end up in the Emerald City. And I couldn't wait to open that door and go out there.
Too bad the next stop on that yellow brick road is adolescence. Come back to the wretched years.
Bid those April showers au revoir.
We Women's Entertainment, Rock Skincare, and CVS invite you to enter the April in Paris sweepstakes. You could win a trip for two to the City of Lights.
We'll always have Paris.
Enter online at CVS.com or make it easy. Use your CVS Extra Care card to buy any Rock Skincare product at a CVS pharmacy or online at CVS.com, and you're automatically entered to win.
Perfect.
And all month long, spend your Saturdays with We, Women's Entertainment, for a night of French-themed shows and movies sponsored by Rock Skincare. This month, say oui to all things French with the April in Paris sweepstakes.
What are you doing here?
I got good news and bad news. What do you want to hear first?
You said you were going to leave.
Okay, good news first. Your wife isn't partners with the greaseball.
Susan, my wife has just been picked up on the Lower East Side, escaping from her gun-toting pimp.
He's not a pimp.
He's not a pimp.
He's not a pimp.
The bad news is that he's probably going to kill her because he thinks she's me.
What?
Did you ever read this? She kept a diary. It's great stuff. Couldn't sleep. Went into kitchen. Gary came in. Turned on light. Gary left. Finished birthday cake. Pages of it. It's got to be a cover. Nobody's life could be this boring.
You shouldn't be reading that. It's private.
Yeah, well, it's not about her. It's about me. Listen to this. He's looking for Susan again. She's late returning from Mexico. This is the 5th ad he's run. Why does he want to see her so badly? Who is she? And there's my picture.
I'm a singer. I'm a mother. I'm an actress. I'm an athlete. I'm a friend.
I'm a thinker. I'm a director. I'm a dreamer.
Who am I? I am we.
I am we. I am we.
We is for me.